Hello everyone, welcome to a DCS world video. Today's video is another helicopter video. It is the Hind, the Russian Cold War combination attack transport helicopter. So the Hind is capable of doing a lot of things, and like things capable of doing a lot of things, it does none of them superbly, but it's actually quite useful and has a lot of capability as a result. So let's start running through what it's capable of doing. First of all, and you won't see it in this video, it's capable of carrying troops. Hasn't got the greatest troop carrying capacity, and obviously the ability to lift stuff off the ground means that if you carry a whole lot of weapons and a whole lot of cargo, you can end up with a helicopter that is actually quite difficult to control, and especially to land, which is important for deploying those troops. But today we're not doing any troop carrying, we're just carrying some air-to-ground guided missiles, some rockets. The Hind also does have the capability of carrying bombs, but I wouldn't recommend it. Quite difficult to get on target, and you have to fly quite high to get above the bomb, the bomb blast fragmentation. It also can carry cluster bombs, but again, a bit of a specialised niche sort of use. It means you have to fly over whatever your cluster bomb at quite low helicopter speeds. So again, sort of more useful for counterinsurgency rather than the sort of battles that you normally get on DCS, where the opposing troops are actually quite capable. So we're rearming, we're re-equipping, and what we're going to do on this is basically just a training mission. So I had an Apache video which will either go up before or after this, so I haven't really made it online. But basically I fly up, blow up some trucks. This is a little bit more advanced. We fly off, blow up some pretty basic ground units and head for home. Again, we'll see guided weapons in use. We'll see unguided rockets, and this has 230mm cannons, I think on the right side of the chin, which means that if you do fly them for extended bursts, they tend to throw the aim off as they kick the helicopter a bit off true. So here we are, we're going to demonstrate the takeoff in the Hind. If you're a player that's looking to get into Cold War, like the really love Cold War, there's a service called the Russian Cold War, which is really popular. The Hind is a fantastic helicopter for that. It does carry some recon troops, I think, maybe it can carry some standard troops, which can be have multiple troop types. Basic standard ones are the ones that are sort of the most useful. Recon flying things, standard basically blow up other ground units, and special forces destroy factories, but you have to get behind the lines quite deep in order to deploy them. So anyway, I think it's capable of carrying all three now. It was just recon and special forces for a while. But mainly it's just used for blowing up ground troops, and in something like Enigma Cold War server, the blowing up of ground troops is how you advance the front. So you can have a lot of fun, but if you're playing more modern scenarios, I'd probably run with the Apache as a gunship. It's far more capable, or the Mi8, or the Mi8, or maybe even the 3 Blackwood for transportation. So this really does sit in the middle of everything. So what we're going to do here is we're lining up down the runway. I think I'm arming my guns at the moment. It does take a few minutes for Petrovich with the AI in the front to get the weapons ready, but I think we did that a couple of minutes back. I've already had that well underway by this time I started recording. So what we're doing here is we're getting a rolling takeoff. We're trying to gain some speed. I think the running along on the nose wheel is a non-standard thing, so don't emulate that. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push the collector forward to get some forward velocity, and I'm trying to get a bit of transitional lift. So basically, as the helicopter moves through the air, the combination of it moving forward actually carries more air across the run because you get some more lift. And as you move from sort of hover to this transitional lift, you actually you find the helicopter shudders a little bit, which is how you continue going through that transition. But it's a great way of getting a big load into the air if you get a good run up. I've still yet to learn how to do it smoothly, and as you can see from my running along the runway on the nose wheel, still getting better. Once you're in the air with the helicopter, the Hind in particular likes a bit of speed. Those wings they're carrying, those tiny wings they're carrying, the stalls actually do generate their own lift as well. So once you get it up to speed, you can carry quite a load, actually getting it off the ground. Here we're at sea level, as you can see, by the time we're in the If if we were up in the mountains, let's say in Afghanistan or someplace like that, high in the mountains in the Caucasus, again your lift is reduced because of the thinner air. So getting stuff off the ground means you have to make some compromises. So although it can carry a lot of things and do a lot of things, you may not want to carry all those things. So as far as ease of use is concerned, I would put the Hind sort of similar to the Apache in terms of using the weapons, mainly because it's got pretty much the same mechanism. It has an AI helper called Petrovich rather than George. But George is the AI helper who operates the weapons in the Apache, and the Hind is Petrovich. Petrovich differs in the fact that he seems to be a little bit blinder, showing you the map and showing you the progress. So I find that he doesn't spot things sometimes, which can be a little bit frustrating. All you do is you can see that sort of three lines that meet converge in the centre of the screen. When that's up, that means you've got Petrovich AI enabled, and then you've just basically got a up, down, left, right sort of key combination, short or long, will get him to do different things. So he's a little bit different from the Apache as well. The Hind, the Apache has longer range missiles. The Hellfires I think stretch out to about 8 kilometers. The missiles and the missiles on the Hind are about 4 kilometers. The missiles in the Apache are either laser guided or RF radar guided, which means that they're fire and forget for the radar guided, and for laser guided you can just stay at whatever range you want. As long as the laser spot stays on the target, the missile will track to that. Here they are semi-active line of sight, so what that means is you have to guide the missile all the way in through wires. Once you move to the next missile, you cut the wires for the previous missile, which means you're only firing one missile at a time. Also, the sight in the Apache is stabilised, whereas the sight in the Hind doesn't seem to have quite the same stabilisation, which means that if you have movements of the helicopter, they're going to need to compensate or spend more effort compensating. The laser in the Apache will shoot to stay on in the area, even if it doesn't stay on target, whereas in the Hind, it just doesn't quite have that same stickability. And the final thing is that the gun sight takes a few seconds to start up, so you can probably tell that I'm trying to get Petrovich to find things. He takes a second or two to start up the gun sight, and you ask him to close before you do major maneuvers. So what this means is you have to get a lot closer with the Hind, and you have to fly pretty much steady for the AI gunner. I've never really played in the front seat, so I don't know what it's like, but I've been in the front seat, I've done training with in the front seat, and yeah, it doesn't feel like it's anywhere near as smooth or as easy as the Apache. So you need to keep running straight. What that means is you do straight runs in, you've got a bit of speed up, and basically that means you might get 1 or 2 missiles before you need to break off, before you get really close range and start taking ground fire. Against more competent modern enemies, you'll find that if they've got like shoulder man pads or something like that, that's going to cause you a lot of grief. So it is really a Cold War bird, this, but it is a lot of fun to fly, and it's pretty fast. So as far as the helicopters go, you probably saw me raising my landing gear. If we get an external view, you'll note that there's no landing gear visible. So it is quite fast. It's probably the fastest of the helicopters. Able to get up to about 300 kilometers per hour, which is, I don't know how many knots, but we'll Google that. Maybe tell you in the next video. But yeah, it's quite good if you've got a target that's a long way away. Able to carry 8 Sakov missiles and some rockets. It actually can also carry some air-to-air missiles, although I have only used them in training and by accident used the friendly. So yeah, so I don't know what the awakened angle. I'm not sure if the all aspect or if you need to get on the tail of whatever it is, which means you can shoot it as a jet up and make it past you. But yeah, it can carry infrared guided missiles. Against other helicopters, you can try and get George to use the semi-active line of sight missiles, the air-to-ground missiles, but just be aware that yeah, it's pretty hard, and I've never managed to hit the target with a Sakov missile from any platform with a rocket stuff like, or from the So here we are, we're breaking away. It's interesting that the Petrovich has a Russian accent and I'm in, I believe, Iraqi colours. Maybe that's a future enhancement. DCS can consider bringing some of these birds. The people who produce the birds, I think, are behind there's something that's actually American Max, which make DCS. There are some other third-party models such as the F15 and I think, yeah, F15, F14 definitely. The upcoming F4 Phantom, which are made by third party. So we're making another turn coming in, and yeah, so it's actually not a bad aircraft if you're starting out, and if you like Cold War, and you're not up against modern stuff, because basically it is difficult to fly, it's difficult to land. Definitely difficult to hover land. It does suffer from vortex ring state, which is when it gets into its own downwash, it gets sort of into this continual sort of feedback loop where the more power you put in, the more downwash it creates, the more, you know, the faster it drives towards the ground. So it does suffer from vortex ring state relatively quickly. So with landings, I recommend keeping a real forward speed and landing it with a flight aircraft. Yeah. But because you've got Petrovich, your ability to manage the vehicle is actually really straightforward. He can fire the guided missiles, and then you just need to map something that steps you through the different gun options. And then on the dashboard, you can see there's some 6 sort of squares, rectangles just below the gun sight there, currently showing RKT on the bottom right. As you scroll through the different what it's like, and you just go all the way to the right, missiles. So here I am, I'm using the rockets. I enjoy using the rockets. I do take them up to practice with them. The gun sights tries to predict where they land, but it is called a little bit of a slope, so basically just calculates the height and your angle and says it'll hit here. But if you've got an up or a down slope, then you can just take it anyway. But it's awfully satisfying to fly them. I probably could jettison it at this point and save some weight. You know, in the real world, you know, it's huge cargo. So, you know, it's like dropping drop tanks in the game. You drop them when you get into combat. Oh, here we go. But, you know, because there's no consequence, unlimited supply of virtual rocket pods and virtual drop tanks and virtual lasers. But in the real world, yeah, that's so here we are, we're coming in for a gun pass. We're just going to see the toughness of the Hind as we go through. All the ground troops will be opening up on us. I'm only doing this because my search in Petrovich doesn't find any RPG soldiers. This armour, the armour on the Hind and on the Apache is actually really good. They're truly capable, but anything a little bit bigger again, that's so one of those guys has an RPG. If you get a direct RPG hit, yeah, your helicopter's pretty much done. Tank hit will make the helicopter problem go away. And even 23mm, you know, anything that's got a bit of power on it will punch through. And yeah, the helicopter, like every aircraft, relies on all its parts to stay flying successfully. And if it's not things like warm up with it, then you probably see on the ground. So here we are, we're breaking away, heading for home, final stretch. So there we go, nice little, it was a bit of a longer flight than I expected. But then again, if I set the, you know, and this is on one of our multiplayer missions, so you sort of use a few scripts to just dump enemies where you need them at different times. But if I put them too close to the airfield, I can move the, you know, the airfield, whatever the basic airfield was, start fighting the targets. So, got a bit of shake going on. Don't worry, that's just the replay that didn't happen in the actual game. Just go for all the views of the shake. It's noticeable. You won't get any inside cockpit views because I'm making my view seasick. Yeah, so here we are. We're coming towards home base. Just below their nose, the helicopter, you'll see orange. That one's next to the far end of the runway. It's the helicopter loading zone, but I'm going to do they're going to land on the runway like real man. Because basically this thing is a real especially if it's got a bit of weight on it. It's just slow to land, and if you're in a hurry, you'll find that these sort of running landings are really the way to go. You'll get down a lot quicker, you'll get down a lot safer, and you won't end up with unintended consequences like drifting off into buildings or rolling over. Landing gear's down, we're starting to slow down. The great thing is there's no stall speed on this, but all I'm doing is I'm pulling back on the stick, keeping the collective low so I don't gain height, because if you pull back on the stick, what happens is all the lift that's pushing you forward suddenly pushes down, and it means you start to gain altitude. So you need to, like all helicopters, you need to operate all the controls at the same time, sort of, because as you adjust one, it affects everything else. Coming over the end of the runway, nice and slow, trying to land at 50 kilometers an hour or less, and there we go, nice gentle touchdown. Slow the aircraft, bring it to a stop, and then we just taxi off. So there you go. It doesn't take much runway to land a helicopter. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little sortie with the Hind. It's quite fun. It's not something I use very often unless there's a cold war scenario, in which case it comes out and it does a lot of good work. So I wouldn't usually use the modern main battle tanks. I wouldn't use it with anything with reasonable ground gear, anything like that. But yeah, in a cold war setting, it's just good. Anyway, hope you enjoyed watching. Hope that was useful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.